I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Sequels have become embedded into studio filmmaking, creating franchises that have become the backbone of the industry, feeding both hungry audiences and the studio coffers. The same but different has always been the maxim that studios have lived by when making a sequel, which usually limits the film's ambitions and undervalues audience expectations, leading to a filmic equivalent of serving up reheated leftovers. These sequels rarely live up to the power and magic of the original, and it's there that we realise that a great film is like lightning in a bottle, and it rarely strikes twice. Once in a while, however, a sequel comes along that not only lives up to expectations, but can be so good that movie lovers will forever battle over whether the sequel is better than the original. There are a handful of sequels in this club, and for me, the most iconic is James Cameron's innovative action classic, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. In the 80s, James Cameron's unique brand of action and science fiction elevated him to the top tier of action directors. Never one to shy away from a large canvas or taking big risks to tell his epic stories, Cameron would repeatedly up the ante as his films grew larger in scale and ambition in an ongoing quest to immerse the audience in his grand vision. After the mixed reception of The Abyss, it seemed that Cameron would go back to what he knew best, not only to the world of his own creation with the Terminator, but sequels. From the very beginning of his career, with the exception of the Terminator, Cameron had worked predominantly on sequels. Starting with the low-budget Piranha 2: The Spawning, Cameron would up the terror and spectacle, creating a far more visceral experience than the original. And then, hot off the back of the first Terminator, he would write the sequel to Rambo, bringing his action chops to the table. But perhaps his most audacious career move was taking on writing and directing duties to the sequel to an undisputed sci-fi horror classic when he directed Aliens. Aliens would not only prove to be a box office smash, but would leave audiences for years torn over whether they preferred it to the original. Cameron's sensibilities did not get lost in a pre-existing property. If anything, it gave him the framework to flourish in. So when the time came to make Judgment Day, it was almost as if his previous experience had programmed him to be a machine that was ruthlessly efficient at creating sequels.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Stay here. I'll be back.
Judgment Day is almost the perfect sequel. The original Terminator is a movie obsessed with the future. Sarah Connor had to survive in order to give birth to a child that will stop the rise of killing machines, hell-bent on the extinction of the human race. The Terminator was a stripped-down chase movie. Sarah evades Arnold Schwarzenegger's killer cyborg. Through the journey, we watch her evolve from being an innocent waitress to a fighter, and by the end, we feel as though her story is only just beginning.
He said there's a storm coming in.
I know.
Terminator 2: Judgment Day picks up years later, and Sarah is now obsessed with the impending apocalypse and is institutionalized. She's trapped and helpless, but more importantly, she's away from her teenage son, John Connor, who's the prodigal son who will save humanity from the rise of the machines. The story of Judgment Day still has ammo due to the fact that as long as John is alive, there is always the danger that something can be sent back from the future to kill him. Cameron lays down a familiar setting. He gives us the same, but his genius lies in what he does different to the original, using a combination of familiarity and misdirection.
Wash day tomorrow. Nothing clean, right?
Nothing clean, right?
Hey, I think this guy's a couple cans short of a six-pack.
Your clothes. Give them to me, now.
Following a very intense and hellish opening to the very familiar world of the Terminator, lightning strikes and Schwarzenegger's killer cyborg crashes down onto Earth. We have a callback to the first film when he steals clothes from a biker instead of a bunch of punks. Cameron plays with our expectations, as due to our knowledge of the first film, we assume we're being introduced to a killing machine yet again. When we see the more slight T-1000, played by Robert Patrick, arrive, we assume that he's the good guy, and an equivalent to the resistance fighter Kyle Reese from the first film. We know he's looking for John, and assume he's there to protect him, especially when he dons the uniform of a police officer.
He's a good-looking boy. Do you mind if I keep this picture?
No, go on. There was a guy here this morning looking for him, too.
Yeah, a big guy on a bike. Does that got something to do with this?
No. I wouldn't worry about him.
As both characters close in on John, there's a build-up of tension as John confronts the tragic future that his mother has always warned him of. And that tension is powerfully released when we realise that Arnie's previous killing machine is now in fact John's protector, who is pitted in an elemental battle against the more advanced and demonic T-1000.
You're not here to kill me. I figured that part out for myself. So what's the deal?
My mission is to protect you.
Yeah? Who sent you?
You did. 35 years from now, you reprogrammed me to be your protector here. And this time.
This is deep.
Throughout the film, Cameron inverts other callbacks from the original Terminator to reframe the narrative, and each one is there to underline the changes of the characters' roles in the story. This includes a scene where the T-1000 commandeers a helicopter, saying "get out," in a similar fashion to the original.
Get out.
But most importantly, the biggest callback is when Sarah sees the Terminator for the first time and relives the trauma from her past. It's only when he uses Kyle Reese's line, "Come with me if you want to live," from the original Terminator, that she realises that he's there to protect them both. And this is where the film evolves from the original, introducing deeper character development. When we first meet the young John Connor, we see that he's growing up with foster parents that he's not connected to. It seems he has issues of abandonment due to the fact that his mother has been committed and taken away. He has no stability in his life or a real sense of family.
It's not my mother, Todd.
It's only when the Terminator comes to his rescue and reunites him with his mother that the pieces of his life start to come together, and gradually they form a family. Cameron very cleverly uses a family station wagon as their mode of transport to underline the fact.
Of all the would-be fathers who came and went over the years, this thing, this machine, was the only one who measured up. In an insane world, it was the sanest choice.
Schwarzenegger's Terminator is more than just a protector, however. He becomes a father figure to John, a father he never knew. For John, it seems that the concept of a father is something very mysterious. It comes from a future that may never exist, and a past that he never witnessed. So when he begins to bond with the Terminator, it awakens his own potential as he begins to live out his prophecy.
All right, my man!
No problemo.
In the original Terminator, the Terminator was a near-silent killing machine, something to be feared. In the sequel, however, Cameron not only capitalized on the popularity and charisma of Schwarzenegger, but by adding the family dynamic, Cameron embedded the story with universal themes that heighten the jeopardy and add stakes to the action. Family is at the heart of Judgment Day, and at the head of the family is Sarah Connor.
You're a terminated fucker.
Sarah Connor is arguably one of the greatest action heroes of all time. Her transformation is what makes her so compelling. Unlike tropes where heroes seem to be gifted with their strength from the outset, Sarah gains her strength over the course of the two Terminator movies. We see her grow and evolve, from damsel in distress to warrior. She is fueled not only by maternal instinct, but a sense of duty to save humanity, so much so that it tests her mentally. Judgment Day could be seen as Sarah's vindication. Everything she was incarcerated for is playing out before her very eyes, and it becomes overwhelming at first, as she's not sure how to process this reality. She has dedicated her life to war, and we see her go through a series of transformations. When we first meet her, she's a caged animal, trying to make her escape. She's cunning and devoted to strengthening herself. Once free, and with John and the Terminator by her side, she becomes more like a Terminator herself. she becomes a killing machine. She's hard and focused, and as she tries to assassinate Dyson, the computer programmer who will unknowingly bring about the end of the world, she uses laser-sighted weapons not too dissimilar to the Terminator in the first film, and as she hides behind glasses, it becomes clear that she's lost sight of her own humanity. It's only through John that she reconsiders her actions and becomes more human again. Evidently, it seems that John is a great leader after all, as he not only teaches the Terminator not to kill, but his mother as well, underlying a key theme of the film, which is the value of humanity and life itself.
We're not gonna make it, are we? People, I mean.
It's in your nature to destroy yourselves.
Yeah. Major drag, huh?
Following this, we witness Sarah's transformation from killing machine to savior. As she becomes more in touch with her humanity, she symbolically transforms from being a Terminator to becoming Kyle Reese, John's father, and this is depicted through a very subtle change of wardrobe. Her trench coat, which is very similar to Reese's costume. Through this transformation, Sarah becomes the embodiment of the past, present, and the future. She is the bridge between both Terminator movies.
No fate. No fate but what we make. The whole thing goes. The future's not set. There's no fate but what we make for ourselves.
In the closing moments of Judgment Day, after defeating the T-1000, John, Sarah, and the Terminator stand as a family united. Sarah and John have both been protected in order to ensure that there is a future. However, it's then that they realize that they must destroy the Terminator as well in order to make sure that the technology is not discovered and created again. It's a powerful ending, and as we watch the separation of this newly formed family, it's the first time all three characters have belonged. For John, it becomes especially painful, as the loss of the Terminator not only deprives him of a father figure, but it also brings back his issues of abandonment. However, the extra layer that's always stood out to me is that by destroying the Terminator, perhaps John knows that he's erasing his own future and his own existence. If the Terminators cease to exist, then he will not need to be born in order to fight them, and it's in that moment that he perhaps realizes that it was his fate to have no future. The closing image of an open and endless road suggests a new beginning, or perhaps even a journey back to the past. So that's my take on Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Hasta la vista, baby.